Perfect. Perfect. Alright, so we're back on the Supra again. It's been sitting for maybe a month or so after I blew the exhaust manifold gasket out. Oh, I think that's what I broke. So I'm just going to start work on it. So we're going to start with the easy things. So we've got it up in the air obviously, and I gave it a bit of a wash to get some dust off, so hopefully I don't scratch any guards. Pull off everything associated to the turbos basically. So disconnect all these air hoses, try and disconnect as few of these vacuum lines as I can, get rid of this throttle cable out of the way, and yeah, just slowly start pulling bits off. And same underneath, there'll be brackets for bracing that I need to get out of the way so I can get the exhaust off, and then the heat shield and all these crossover pipes and stuff, and yeah, some of these water lines down here. And then once I get it all off, we can pull the twins out. Hopefully it's just a blown exhaust manifold gasket and I don't break too much of this stuff, and it'll all go back together nicely. So let's get into it. Alright, so just pretty much started just pulling things off. I watched a couple of videos and looked up a couple of forums on how to pull this system apart, and I'd really like to do it the way that they suggest, but unfortunately because of all these rock hard hoses, I tried to pull one off earlier. It's down here, and this one was actually pretty malleable, and it just split. No, you can't even see it because it's so hard, but basically as soon as there you go, it just split the end off because they're so incredibly stiff. So yeah, I'm trying to pull things off relatively together, and if any hoses look a little too stiff to pull off, I'm just going to try and not remove them. Yeah, this one as well is really stiff, so I'm not going to try and take that off. So it's probably going to be really annoying, but hopefully I don't have to replace every single line because I don't know if I can get many of these. So yeah, and I also hope I can remember where all these plugs go. Most of them are breaking too, which is unfortunate, so I'm trying not to unplug them from each other and just disconnect them from their little mounting points. So we'll see how we go. Alright, so I managed to get off all the air intake bits, and down here was by far the worst. I don't know if you can really see the shadow and everything, but there's two lines here that both had these little clampy things on them. They were really difficult to get out, by far the hardest. And these two vacuum lines back here, I split this one, but they came off okay. I just press on, and you can see over here that I managed to get all of this off. The only casualties with this line was so rock hard. I don't know if you can see it. I couldn't even cut it with a knife. I had to use a sawzall, so like a reciprocating saw. And then over here, when I was getting something off one of these maybe, or this one I think, I ended up bumping into this and it split the plastic and snapped the little end off. And then I tried to unplug it from the other end and it just broke the hose. So I suspect that no matter what I did, if I tried to pull that off, there was a very high chance it was going to break anyway. So that's really annoying. I'll see if I can get another one of these, and if not, I'll just try and repair that. But yeah, this hose is definitely have to be replaced, and thankfully it's not one of these molded ones. So yeah, so this is definitely the harder way to do it, but it has saved me a lot of broken hoses by the looks of it, or at least hard to get hoses. Anyway, so if we come back over to the engine, you can see that now I've got to get this heat shield off, and hopefully these don't break, which probably will. Some of these water lines off, and then yeah, you can see some of these manifold bolts here. So as we start pulling this apart, I'm not 100% sure it's the actual exhaust manifold where it meets to the engine. It could be any one of the gaskets inside of this turbo system, but only one way to find out, and that's to pull it all apart. So let's get into it. Alright, so I just got the heat shield off, and looking at this already, it's pretty clear to see that there, come on with the light, looks like there's a leak here. You can see the exhaust gases, so I don't know if that's through this valve, through the gasket itself, but more shockingly is this bolt has decided to come undone. This is exactly how I found it, and yeah, so that's probably not helping, but it doesn't look like it's leaking around here. But either way, I'm gonna just pull it all off, put a bunch of gaskets through it, clean it all up, check the health of the turbos, and And yeah, I got to replace these lines too, and I need to do the thermostat, which is under all this. So while I'm here, I may as well go through it and freshen it up as best I can. But it's good that we can actually find something that looks like it's leaking and something that's loose. It's nothing worse than pulling stuff apart and not being able to tell what's wrong. It's incredibly frustrating. All right, let's pull it all out. All right, so it's the next day, and as you can see, I got the turbo off, the turbo's off, and it looks like there might have been a little bit of a leak around here, but definitely on this side just here would have been leaking, and that would have been because this top bolt was loose. So yeah, I'm gonna get in and pull off all of these bolts to get the manifold gasket out and have a look at it, make sure it's not leaking, and I'll see if I can tidy this up a bit, maybe give it a lick of paint or something, and yeah, inspect the turbos and give them a clean up and check all my other gaskets and whatnot, and then reassemble it all and hope to God I fixed the problem. Alright, so I forgot to buy a new thermostat for the Supra, but I got the old one out. It actually looks pretty good. So just looking at it, you can see that it says 82 degrees there Celsius, and that should be the temperature at which this bypass, or this whatever it's called, thermostat opens and lets coolant past. So we're going to test that now, and the way to test that is first make sure you're extra dirty from cleaning your car, and then pull the thermostat out, give it a quick wipe, bring it into the kitchen, find your dog's bowl, because it's metal and it won't melt, put your thermostat in there, and then get mum's kettle, make sure it's pure white so that when you grab it you get heaps of grease on it, boil a little bit of water, because obviously boiled water is 100 degrees Celsius, and then we pour it in on top of the thermostat, and once it reaches 82 degrees, which obviously it will because this water will be 100 degrees, the thermostat will open. And once it's open, we know that it works, and I kind of want to get the car back together today or tomorrow, so I don't have time to wait to get a new thermostat. So yeah, this is what we're going to do. Alright, now the kettle's boiled, we'll bring it over here and then just pour it straight in. Now if we look through there, we should be able to see it open shortly. Oh, I think I can see some light. Yep, there we go. So you can see the thermostat is opening, so the water is high. I'm going to get a finger in there, just through that little gap there. There's a little bit of gunk in there, but you can see it's opened up the whole way around. I don't know if you can see it from this. Oh yeah, you can. So there we go. So these springs are tempered so that at a certain temperature they change shape, so that's what causes the thermostat to open. You can see there's a nice big gap there. So this thermostat works just fine. I might try and clean it a little bit better, but we'll be able to run it again. That's how you test a thermostat. Alright, so it's time to put the thermostat back in, and you guys might have noticed there's this little funny looking tab things. It's just a bleed valve for the air that could be stuck in the system, so if there's little bubbles they need to bleed through this. It's important that you orientate this correctly, so when you install it into the thermostat housing, you want this piece to be at the highest point of the housing itself, because obviously the bubbles will want to rise, and then it'll go up here into this hose and then to the top of the radiator. So you want to have this little check valve as high as possible. Now conveniently, Toyota decided that it would be a great idea to put a little tab on the actual housing itself, so you know which way to orientate it. So when this goes onto here, you can see that that tab just up there is at the highest point of the thermostat housing. So yeah, make sure when you install that, you put the little valve where that tab is. Alright, so you can see here the thermostat's installed just into the housing. You can see the little thing lines up with the tab perfectly. So now I can install this unit into the car. Alright, so the engine block's all cleaned up as best as I can be bothered. Oh look, you can even see colour on the power steering. But anyway, so I got all the studs back in. I just reused the factory ones because I don't have new ones, and these ones look pretty good. I ran some nuts over both ends of them to make sure they were clean, and I reinstalled them just with a quarter drive bit. Hooked to elbow spec. Next we're going to throw on our new exhaust manifold gaskets. There's the two sets of part numbers there, and I got these from Golby Parts up at Toowoomba, and yeah, we'll just chuck them on there and put all our nuts on to hold it in place, and then we'll go and start playing with the turbo manifolds and turbo parts to clean them.